The first dark truth Schopenhauer exposed is this. What we call love is not a spiritual bond, not destiny, not some magical force that unites two souls. It is a biological illusion, a trick designed by nature for one purpose only: reproduction. Think about it. That burning attraction you feel, that obsession that convinces you she's the one, isn't about her soul or your future together. It's your brain calculating, assessing fertility, youth, beauty, genetic compatibility, survival advantages. That's the real program running behind the scenes. And women, their attraction works the same way, just with different priorities. They're scanning for strength, for security, for a man who can provide and protect. This is why so many men destroy themselves in the name of love. They sacrifice careers, friendships, even their sanity, for a woman who later walks away without a second thought. It feels cruel, but it isn't personal. It's nature's design. Once the illusion has served its purpose, it fades, the passion disappears, and reality sets in. Schopenhauer said it clearly: love is not freedom, it is bondage. It is the chain that binds men to women, forcing them into a role they never truly chose. Most men spend their entire lives chasing this illusion, never realizing the game was rigged from the start. But here's the shift. Once you see through the illusion, you are no longer controlled by it. You stop making women the center of your existence. You stop confusing chemistry with destiny. And when you do that, you reclaim your power. You begin to understand that your purpose, your legacy, your strength, these are not found in her eyes, they are found in yourself. And that realization is the first step toward freedom. The second dark truth Schopenhauer revealed is this. Women are not guided by fairness, loyalty, or logic when it comes to choosing men. Their choices are driven by instinct, what he called the brutal law of selection. Women are the biological selectors. They hold the leverage because nature designed them to decide which men pass their genes forward and which men are left behind. This is why attraction often feels unfair. A man can give his all, loyalty, devotion, sacrifice, and still be discarded. Because women are not evaluating those traits first. They are scanning for power, for status, for security, for dominance. They are drawn to the man who doesn't need them, the man who stands above others. In modern terms, this is why 80% of women compete for the top 20% of men. It isn't cruelty, it's survival programming. Look around you. On dating apps, the average man gets ignored while a small minority receive endless attention. In history, kings and conquerors were worshipped by women while loyal servants went unseen. Nothing has changed because biology doesn't change. A woman's instinct is not to reward kindness, it's to secure the best possible mate for herself and her children. Most men can't accept this truth. They believe love is mutual, that if they prove themselves, she will stay. But Schopenhauer warned, to be loved, it is not enough to be good, you must be powerful. This is why the nice guy finishes last. Not because he lacks value as a human being, but because he misunderstands the game. When you realize this, the anger fades. You stop asking, why don't women choose men fairly? And you start asking, how do I become the man she cannot ignore? That shift changes everything. The third dark truth Schopenhauer exposed is that women's greatest weapon is not strength or logic, it's deception. Not always conscious, not always malicious, but instinctive, natural, and devastatingly effective. Women survive not by confronting men head-on, but by subtly influencing them. Think about it. A man demands what he wants openly. A woman rarely does. Instead, she tests, she hints, she manipulates reality until you believe her desire was your idea. This isn't evil, it's evolutionary programming. In a world where women lacked physical strength, their survival depended on emotional intelligence and the ability to read, influence, and control men without them realizing it. Schopenhauer wrote that women are instinctively crafty, that they possess an innate talent for deception. You see this everywhere once your eyes are open. The compliance test, how quickly you change your plans for her. The frame test, whether you stand your ground or bend to her moods. The investment test, whether you chase harder than she does. Most men fail these tests without even knowing they're being tested. Modern society proves this truth daily. Social media has turned deception into an economy. Women post for attention, not commitment, and millions of men orbit them competing for scraps of validation. They think they're winning her heart when in reality, they're just feeding her ego. Here's the harsh reality. If you don't recognize these games, you will always lose. You'll mistake her emotional influence for genuine love. You'll believe her tears, her silence, her jealousy mean something deeper when often they're just tools of control. The man who sees through deception doesn't become bitter, he becomes powerful. Because once you recognize the game, you stop being a pawn in it. And that is when women start respecting you, not as a servant, but as a leader. The fourth dark truth Schopenhauer revealed is what he called the tragedy of possession. The brutal reality is this: once a woman has fully secured a man, once the chase is over, her desire begins to fade. The passion that once consumed her disappears, not because she is cruel, but because biology designed it that way. For women, the thrill is in the conquest, not the keeping. Attraction is strongest when uncertainty is alive, when she isn't sure she has you yet. But the moment she knows you are fully hers, the dynamic shifts, the fire dims, and her instincts begin searching again, consciously or not, for the next challenge, the next upgrade, the next man who sparks that feeling she craves. How many men have felt this? In the early months, she adores you, she calls, texts, clings to every word. Then slowly the attention fades. She stops dressing up for you. She starts withholding intimacy. She seems restless, distracted, even resentful. The man thinks he did something wrong, so he works harder, gives more, sacrifices everything to reignite that spark. But the harder he tries, the faster her attraction withers. Why? Because neediness kills desire. Once possession is complete, the biology moves on. Schopenhauer saw this centuries ago. Modern men still refuse to admit it. They cling, they beg, they worship, believing that loyalty and devotion will win her back. But loyalty does not reignite passion. Power does, value does, distance does. Here's the truth: women are not excited by what they already own. They're excited by what they might lose. If you make her the center of your world, she will eventually walk away. But if you remain the man who never fully gives himself up, the man who still holds mystery, ambition, and strength, she cannot stop chasing. The fifth dark truth Schopenhauer exposed is this: women's love is never unconditional. It is always tied to utility. What you provide, what you represent, what value you bring to her life. Men want to believe that if they are good enough, loyal enough, selfless enough, they will be loved for who they truly are. But that belief is a dangerous illusion. Female love is conditional by design. A woman does not cherish a man simply for existing. She cherishes him for his power, his stability, his ability to give her the life she desires. If those conditions change, her feelings change too. When a man loses his job, falls behind in status, or stagnates in ambition, the same woman who once promised forever can suddenly become distant, resentful, even cold. Not because she is heartless, but because her biology demands constant evaluation of survival and security. This is why so many men feel blindsided in relationships. They think loyalty will protect them. They think sacrifice will guarantee commitment. But the truth is harsh. Devotion alone is not enough. If you stop providing, if you stop growing, if you stop being the man she first admired, she will instinctively seek someone else who can fulfill those conditions. Schopenhauer warned of this centuries ago, yet men still fall for the lie of unconditional female love. They marry believing that promises and vows will protect them, only to face betrayal when circumstances shift. The truth is simple: women love conditionally, because nature wired them that way. But here's the key: once you accept this, you stop being bitter. You stop expecting her to be something she is not, and instead you build yourself into a man so strong, so complete, that her conditional love is a bonus, not your foundation. That is real power. The sixth dark truth Schopenhauer exposed is what he called the tyranny of the weak. The way women use their perceived vulnerability as leverage over men. They don't need physical strength to dominate. They use emotional tactics, social systems, and psychological pressure to bend men into submission. Look closely. A woman cries, and suddenly the argument is over. She withholds affection, and the man scrambles to win it back. She flirts with others, not always to cheat, but to test his confidence. These are not accidents. They are instinctive strategies honed over thousands of years. Where men fought with fists, women learned to fight with perception. And in today's world, that leverage is multiplied by society itself. Divorce courts, custody battles, social media validation, all tilted in her favor. A single accusation can destroy a man's reputation, while her weakness shields her from accountability. Most men don't even realize the leverage exists. They keep trying to win through devotion, unaware that their constant compliance only gives her more power. The man who bends to every mood, every test, every demand, he becomes her servant, not her equal. And once a man falls into that role, she loses respect for him completely. Schopenhauer understood this clearly. Women do not conquer through direct force. They conquer by making men hand over their strength willingly. They exploit the protector instinct, the desire men have to care for and defend them. And the tragic truth is that most men volunteer to be enslaved, believing it's love. But here's the shift. The man who recognizes this leverage stops being manipulated by it. He sees the tears, the tests, the games for what they are, tools of control. And once he stops reacting, once he stands firm, the power dynamic flips instantly. Respect follows strength, not submission. Seventh dark truth Schopenhauer foresaw, long before Instagram, Tinder or OnlyFans, is the endless female hunger for validation. Women have always known, consciously or not, that their beauty and youth are powerful currency. In the past, that validation came from a small circle, family, community, suitors. Today, social media has turned it into a global marketplace. One picture, one post, and she can receive more attention in a day than most men get in a lifetime. DMs flooding in, likes stacking by the thousands, endless options at her fingertips. This constant validation changes everything. Why would a woman commit deeply to one man when she can have the attention of hundreds without lifting a finger? Why would she invest loyalty when she's been conditioned to believe her worth is measured by the number of men chasing her? Here's the brutal truth. Modern women are drowning in validation, while modern men are starving for it. And that imbalance gives women enormous power. They don't even have to pursue anymore. They sit back and select. The average man, desperate for scraps of attention, becomes a simp, a follower, a background character in her story. He pays with his time, his money, his energy, while she rewards him with nothing but fleeting glances and empty emojis. Schopenhauer understood this dynamic centuries ago. Women are not satisfied with devotion alone. They need constant affirmation of their value. And in today's world, that need has been weaponized. But here's the key. Once a man stops feeding this economy of validation, he rises above it. When you no longer compete for attention, when you stop orbiting and start building, you separate yourself from the herd. Suddenly, you are not another follower. You are the man she cannot easily access. And in a world where every man is begging, scarcity creates true value. The final dark truth Schopenhauer gave us is also the most liberating. The only way to win the game is to rise above it, to transcend female nature, to stop living as if a woman's love is the prize of your existence. Because as long as you seek validation, loyalty, or happiness through women, you are chained to the very illusions that enslave most men. Schopenhauer wrote that the happiness we obtain from ourselves is greater than that which we gain from our surroundings. What he meant was simple. The man who builds himself, who creates purpose from within, no longer needs to beg for affection. His worth is not determined by who chooses him. His worth is self-defined. History proves this. The great men, the conquerors, inventors, artists, warriors, were not distracted by chasing validation. They were consumed by a vision greater than themselves. Women became a byproduct of their power, not the source of it. That is the shift modern men must make. Transcendence doesn't mean hating women. It doesn't mean isolation. It means clarity. It means seeing female nature for what it is, biological, conditional, instinctive, and no longer taking it personally. Once you stop expecting unconditional love, once you stop worshipping the illusion, you reclaim your strength. Women will still test you, deceive, select and leverage, but you are no longer controlled by it. You have become untouchable. This is the essence of true masculinity. To build a life so rich with purpose, discipline, and freedom that female attention is not survival, it's a bonus. And ironically, when you stop chasing it, when you stop needing it, that's when it comes to you effortlessly, because you've transcended the game. And in doing so, you finally win.